Everybody in this room has this unique opportunity to live out your dream. And the journey that we're about to go on is going to be a hard journey. We're going to be challenged at every turn. The expectations are going to be high. The standards are going to be high. The accountability is going to be high. I make a pledge to you. Our staff makes a pledge to you. Make a pledge to yourself and to each other. We'll hold ourselves and each other accountable to those standards.
It's week number 6 of this NFL season, and welcome to the Jason Garrett Show, powered by Reliant Energy. I'm Bill Jones alongside Cowboys head coach Jason Garrett. We are inside the Academy Sports and Outdoor Studios here at the Star in Frisco. It is a bye week this week, but that doesn't mean it's not a work week this week. Team was on the practice field on Wednesday and Thursday. They do get the weekend off. Coaches get the weekend off too, but what do you try to accomplish during a bye week, Coach?
Well, you want to make it productive, and the players were off on Monday and Tuesday, but we did come into work on Wednesday and Thursday, and the biggest thing we tried to do is just improve individually, improve as units and as a football team. We're not on the practice field for long. The first objective was to clean up the Packer game and learn from that, and then get our eyes forward, and I think our guys handled the work really well.
When you look back at that Packer game, well, let's do it this way. When I look back at that Packer game, I look at that quarterback, Dak Prescott, and I say, yeah, he continues to play just like he did his rookie season. And now you go back over a year's time, he's matched up against Aaron Rodgers, who has the top passer rating in the history of the league, and he's gone toe-to-toe with him for 3 games over the last 12 months.
Well, certainly Dak played very well in the game, and I thought we played really well offensively in the game. You know, the big takeaway for me that we tried to impart on our team was the idea when you play a game like that, the opportunities are very limited. You're going to get 7, 8, 9 drives in the game. So each of those drives are point opportunities for you. They're point opportunities for them. And each play within those drives is critical. And I think if you look at how Dak played and how our offense played, we did a pretty good job maximizing those opportunities. You know, the disappointing play was the interception return for a touchdown, but the thing that I thought was so impressive for Dak and for the rest of the group was how we responded after that. The big 17-play drive that gave us the touchdown to go ahead in the ball game late.
And, of course, that was a drive that ate up 9 minutes of the clock and gave the Cowboys the lead at that time. One of the impressive things about that drive, the mix of the pass and the run, you were persistent in running Ezekiel Elliott in that game, and it really manifested in that drive. But how much did the pass set up the run on that drive?
Well, they work well together, obviously. You want to be balanced. You want to attack defenses different ways. But you said it. We ran the ball well late in the game because we continued to persist throughout the game. You know, there were a lot of 3- and 4-yard runs early that nobody remembers. But over time, they lead to the 25-yard run up the sidelines, the 11-yard run, the 9-yard run that were so critical in that last drive. So the balance throughout the game was really big. The balance on the last drive was critical for us.
What are you seeing now from your offensive line, and in particular at the left guard position where Jonathan Cooper has started the last couple of weeks, and, of course, Chaz Green was there before his hip flared up again?
I think they're getting better. I really do. And obviously we have 3 cornerstone pieces in Tyron and Travis and Zach. But we have a couple new pieces. LC playing right tackle. He's gotten better and better every week. And Jonathan Cooper the last couple of weeks playing that left guard spot. So, you know, those are the new elements to the line. We've talked about it many times, the importance of those guys playing well individually, but that group playing well together. And I think we're improving week by week.
How about at the wide receiver position? You touched on it, the interception that went through Terrence's hands there. Bryce Butler has come through in a very big way. You do have competition at that wide receiver position that continues even throughout the course of the regular season, don't you?
Well, I just thought it was a really good balance, not only between run and pass, but when we threw the ball, we threw it to different guys throughout the game. You know, Cole Beasley had a really good game for us. Witt was very productive. Dez caught a lot of balls in the game. You know, Bryce made a couple big plays for us as well. So when we're doing that, we're running it, we're throwing it to different guys, throwing it different ways. That's when we're at our best. And I do think we had good balance throughout and kept attacking them throughout with a lot of different guys, and that certainly helped us be as productive as we were.
All right, we're just getting started here on the Jason Garrett Show. Up next, we're joined by David Moore, the Dallas Sporting News.
The Jason Garrett Show, presented by Reliant, is brought to you by AT&T, mobilizing your world. Ford is the best in Texas. The Salvation Army, doing the most good. The University of North Texas, proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys. And by Reliant, an NRG company. This segment is brought to you by the Dallas Morning News. Nobody does sports like Sports Day. Your home for complete Dallas Cowboys coverage.
Welcome back to the Jason Garrett Show, powered by Reliant Energy. And inside the Academy Sports and Outdoors studios now, we are joined by David Moore of the Dallas Morning News, SportsDayDFW.com.
You always sound so excited about that when I know you're not.
I am. That's where I get my news from you. It's on the web now. It's SportsDayDFW.com. I even forget to go out and get the newspaper some days
Well,
because
thank you
of
for that. Yeah.
I do take the newspaper, though. I will tell you that much. And never mind. All right, defense. Let's talk defense, and let's talk run defense. There's a couple of 100-yard rushers against this run defense the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, you look at it, and now you've gotten to this point of the season where you've actually they've gone 5 games. Ezekiel Elliott has not been the leading rusher in the game 3 times. It's been an opponent's rusher. That can't continue. You know, that's one thing that's really ground one, baseline for Rod Marinelli defense. Stop the run, make them pass, and then you manage the game that way. They haven't done that. This is a defense that last year was harder to run against than any defense in the league. Right now, they rank number 20th in the league, allowing 118 yards a game average and 4.6 a carry. That can't continue. They have to get better at the run. It's not just as simple as Sean Lee has missed the last couple of games and teams have run on them. Green Bay is not known as a really good running team, and they had a rookie who had 49 yards rushing going into the game, hit them for 125 yards. They've just got to get better there.
And, of course, now Stephen Paya has retired. Another guy, news from this week, we'll get into with the coach coming up here in just a little bit. Nolan Carroll, though, release. And I think it really shows the youth movement in the secondary, which was their blueprint, basically, with all the free agent departures in the offseason. And Jordan Lewis has really shown that he can play.
Yeah, the move to Nolan Carroll with me, his release really underscores whether are you a glass half empty or half full sort of person, because he was brought in as insurance because you had so many guys leave in free agency in the offseason. And you can say, well, he was your highest priced free agent. Now he's gone. That was a miscalculation. Or you can say, look, the reason he's gone is because Jordan Lewis has been outstanding in the time he's gotten in there. In fact, Jordan Lewis has progressed to the point where Nolan Carroll would be viewed as a progress stopper. So you want Jordan Lewis in there to get the snaps. That's been justified. You want him to do that. The other thing Jordan Lewis has also done is, with Chidobe Awuzie, with his hamstring injuries, forced him to miss time. Now, Lewis has looked so good at corner, I think you're going to see Awuzie get more time at safety. So Lewis has really been, I think, a bright spot for this draft class.
And another bright spot in this draft class is the 5th rounder, Xavier Woods, who's getting more and more playing time at safety.
Yeah, you saw him. He moved ahead of Kevin Frazier in this last game in the rotation. I think this is an issue here. Jeff Heath was put in the starting lineup in the offseason. They liked what he did, the big play capability. You haven't seen the big plays from him to this stage. You've seen some highly visible breakdowns on some key plays. I think Xavier Woods and Chidobe Awuzie, once he gets back in and healthy, are really going to push Heath.
All right, David, we appreciate it. Up next here on the Jason Garrett Show, it's the elder statesman of this team joining the elder statesman of the media in Dallas-Fort Worth.
This segment was brought to you by the Dallas Morning News. Nobody does sports like Sports Day. Your home for complete Dallas Cowboys coverage.
Welcome back to the Jason Garrett Show, powered by Reliant Energy. Bill Jones here in the Academy Sports and Outdoors studios at the Star. Now we head down the hallway inside Ford Center, where Mickey Spagnola has a very special guest this week.
Thanks, Bill. I am with Cowboys captain, veteran tight end Jason Witten. And Jason, I think in your future, I think coaching's going to be in there somewhere if you ever quit playing. This team, 2-3, coming off a tough loss against Green Bay, you get the bye. When you come back on Tuesday, if you were the head coach, what would be your message to this team?
Well, I think it's fairly simple. I mean, certainly we haven't played as good as we need to being 2-3. That was not the expectation, but in a lot of ways you look at it and say, hey, there's 2 2-minute drives there in the Rams game and then, of course, in the Green Bay game that could say you could be 4-1. And what I mean by that, I think you just got to provide perspective to your team, is that I think we're doing a lot of good things. I think we can accomplish everything we want down the road with a lot of football still to be played. But certainly the margin is now smaller, and we've put ourselves in a little bit of a hole, and not a point to panic or to get discouraged from that standpoint, but understanding where we're at with 11 games to play. And so we have a lot of good things we can build on, but the margin's much smaller now. We need to go execute, and all our focus needs to be taking it that way as we move forward.
And I think that's something that gets somewhat overlooked, that there has been good things, and then 2 and 3 kind of clouds it. It's like, oh, it makes it look really bad. Somebody asked me the other day, it's like, what would you think one of the highlights was? I said, that drive at the end of the Green Bay game that they went 79 yards and 17 plays for 843 and scored a touchdown. I mean, that was huge. I know it got overshadowed, but there has been some good things that have occurred during this season.
Well, I think these are the last 3 games, really the last 11 quarters, offensively, we're playing at that level that people expected of us, and really internally our expectation. I think Dak's making a lot of plays. Certainly our run game's starting to come along. We're getting the ball, different guys involved. Certainly Dez and Beasley coming along in the Green Bay game, and some of my throws underneath. And so it's starting to gel. It's trending in that right direction. But overall, people look at the bottom line, and we need to win games and find ways to win games. And we know we're in a tough division, and we know that schedule is going to be tough down the stretch. And you know, it's a 4-quarter game, and you got to be able to take this time in the bye week where we are now, and really take an unemotional approach. Why aren't we playing better? What does that winning formula look like? And I think our team's done that, and that's what I think we're all positive as we move forward into the season, and what we want to accomplish is still out there.
And I know Jason preaches one game at a time, one play at a time. Is it hard to come back from a loss like Green Bay? It's such an emotional swing, back and forth, up and down, and it looked like just when you got there, you didn't get there. Is it hard to get back from that?
Well, you have to be honest and say yes, it is difficult. But I also say that's the league we live in. I mean, you know, 75% of the games are 1 score or less in the 4th quarter, and so you have to get comfortable being uncomfortable and playing in those type of games. And certainly when you come up short, you have to learn from it and then build on it. But I think we talk about execution all the time, but then you got to really dive into it and be more detailed with that. And I think that's what we try to do. And these games are always going to come down to one possession. That's just the mentality and the way these games play out. We got to do better at critical times, and I think we have the right type of guys that can overcome it.
So, 15th year, you're tied for the longest time of service with club history. Does the 15th year feel any different than the 14th or the 13th?
No, it doesn't. You know, I actually feel good out there. I mean, people talk about it a lot, but I know my role within this offense, and I feel like I can play it at a high level. And so I enjoy where I'm at in my career and the guys I have around me that with what we're trying to do. I'm really excited about what we've done offensively the last couple of weeks. Just has been our style. It looks more like us. And so that's my job as a leader, and some of the other guys is to continue to strive to play that way and with that mentality. And, you know, still everything you want is in front of you. And certainly in year 15, there's only one goal.
Right. Got to keep winning.
That's right. Need to win some more games.
Tex Schramm once told me, when I hang around with young people, it keeps me young.
That's true. I can agree to that. I can agree to that.
That's Cowboys tight end Jason Witten. Mickey Spagnola. Back to you, Bill Jones.
All right, thanks, Mickey. And up next here on the Jason Garrett Show, the coach rejoins me, and we talk about what's behind those defensive departures this past week. The Jason Garrett Show, powered by Reliant Energy, continues now. Bill Jones along with head coach Jason Garrett inside the Academy Sports and Outdoor Studios. Let's talk about the defense here in this segment as you go back and assess what's happened the first 5 games of this season. Obviously, one guy really sticks out on that defensive line is DeMarcus Lawrence, but what are you seeing up front on the defensive line right now?
Well, you said it. DeMarcus Lawrence is off to a great start, incredibly productive, getting after the quarterback. The quarterback pressures, the hurries, and the sacks have been outstanding and really impacted the game. He's also playing well against the run. He's just been very active. Great to get David Irving back this past week. He certainly was disruptive throughout the game, had a couple sacks, was around the quarterback the whole game. So, you know, to have those 2 guys step up the way they have, it really makes everybody else's lives better. And you know, we need to continue to have that production. You have to affect the quarterback in this league. So, you know, those guys are certainly off to a great start doing that.
And Stephen Paia, the veteran defensive tackle, that knee, he's been bothered by it ever since the preseason, and he's made a decision now, right?
He has. Stephen came to us this week and said he's going to retire. And, you know, he's a guy that we certainly targeted. Rod Marinelli had him early on in his career, and has been a good player physically, but also brings a lot to your football team. But, you know, his knee has gotten to a point where he just couldn't function. He couldn't practice, hard for him to play in games. So we made that decision. We wish him nothing but the best.
And you made a decision in your secondary, too. Nolan Carroll released this week. It's got to be a testament to those young guys who are now healthy, in particular Jordan Lewis and Chido Awuzie at the cornerback position.
We competed against him a lot when he was with Philadelphia, and we went and got him and felt really good about him. But he's had some injuries himself, and that's given some of the younger guys who you mentioned an opportunity to solidify themselves in some ways at those outside corner spots. So we made that decision. Wish him nothing but the best going forward, but I think it's a good opportunity for those young guys to get some playing time.
All right, Sean Lee returned to the practice field this week. How big will it be getting Sean Lee back out there?
Well, he's a great football player, and he's a great player because he's so productive. He makes a ton of plays week in and week out, makes a lot of tackles, a lot of plays on the ball, but also the impact that he has on the other guys, the other linebackers, and really everybody throughout the defense. You know, he gives everybody such confidence. He gets everybody lined up the way they need to get lined up. He's a natural leader beyond just his production, so we certainly hope to get him back.
And I can't leave this segment without talking about special teams a little bit, because Dan Bailey is 7 for 7 on field goals, and Chris Jones, 12 of his 20 punts have been down inside the 20-yard line.
Those guys are the best in the business. They really are. They get a chuckle when I call them specialists. I don't know if they really like it. But to me, they are specialists. They're the best at what they do. You know, Dan just putting the ball through the pipes every opportunity. Done a really good job with his kickoffs as well, the touchbacks, but also when we want to kick the ball high and short, he's done a good job of that. And then Chris Jones, you know, what can you say about him? The number of times he's flipped field position for us, pinned the opposing offense back inside the 20, 15, 10-yard line. It happens week in and week out. Happened the other day. They started a drive on the minus 12-yard line. And again, he's as good as it gets in that situation. It certainly helps our football team.
So as you come out of this bye week now and go forward and play in San Francisco next week with a 2-3 record, obviously that's disappointing. But where do you think this team is right now from a positive standpoint as you go forward now the final 11 games of this season?
Well, I think if you look at the first 5 games, we've done a lot of good things in each of the 3 phases in each of the games. Unfortunately, we haven't put the whole game together, offense, defense, kicking game, working together for 60 minutes as consistently as we'd like. And that's why our record is 2-3. You know, a couple ways to look at this thing. We're a couple 2-minute drives away from being 4-1. Had an opportunity on offense against the Rams to go down and score a touchdown at the end of the game. We didn't get that done, and certainly had an opportunity last week against Green Bay to make a stop at the end of the game, and we didn't get that done. So that's been an area that we've always emphasized. It's been an area that we've been good at in the past. So we got to get better in that area. Situational football is so important. Again, you've heard me say this before. You build on the good stuff. There's plenty of good stuff from these first 5 weeks. You correct the rest of it. We got to correct it. Did a good job this past week in the bye. Now the eyes are forward on San Francisco.
All right, when we continue here on the Jason Garrett Show, very special unsung heroes this week. Final couple of minutes here, the Jason Garrett Show, powered by Reliant Energy. Bill Jones alongside the head coach, and we've made it habit in this final segment to give out the Unsung Hero of the Week award. A couple of weeks ago, it was James Hanna, and he proceeded to score a touchdown the next week. Last week, it was Jalen Smith's brother, Rod Smith. He had a big catch inside the 10-yard line in the ensuing game. This week, it being Breast Cancer Awareness Month around the National Football League, we thought we would go behind the scenes to Emily Robbins, who is the Senior Director of Community Relations, and her team. You wouldn't believe the type stuff that they do on game day and throughout the week in terms of community relations around here.
Yeah, they do a great job. Emily and her staff, Whitney and Leah and Essence, you know, they have such a great presence in our organization, helping our players reach out into the community. And you mentioned it's Breast Cancer Awareness Month. There's a lot of different initiatives they've started with that. And, you know, one of the great things they do for our players is they make it easy for them to get involved in causes that our players believe in. And, you know, they're as good as it gets in the National Football League, and they're such a big part of our organization, and we're really appreciative of all the work they do.
You going to watch some football this weekend?
Absolutely.
How about some high school football? I hear there's a pretty good quarterback at Highland Park you may want to check.
Yeah, he's pretty good.
All right, that does it for the Jason Garrett Show. We appreciate it, Coach. Good luck next week against San Francisco, and we will see you again next week right here on the Jason Garrett Show.
The Jason Garrett Show, presented by Reliant, was brought to you by Ford. Ford is the best in Texas. Bank of America, the official bank of the Dallas Cowboys. Susan G. Komen, reminding you that early detection saves lives. Miller Lite, the only beer of the Cowboys. Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. And by NFL Game Pass. You'll never miss a game again. Enjoy full access to coaches' films and game replays from Week 1 to the Super Bowl. Subscribe at DallasCowboys.com/Game Pass.